Welcome to Gulfstream Park. It is March 13, 2014. Christina Bosanac is here, and I'm joined by our main man. I say that every day, by the way.
And every guy that's
up here. Ron Nicoletti. And Ron, it's like a broken record. Weather's been fantastic here, and we had a lot happening yesterday. For a Wednesday card, there was a lot of action.
A lot of excitement going on, and as you mentioned, beautiful day in South Florida. We got that fast main track firm turf course, and of course we have the huge carryover, which has been the big story here of over $2.9 million in that Rainbow Six jackpot carryover. And who else? Javier Castellano, big story again yesterday.
Yeah, Javier won 5 of 6 races on the card, or 5 of 6 of his mounts, and he broke his own record for most victories at the Gulfstream Park winter meeting, and he held the record back in 2011, 2012 at 112 wins, I believe. And
we still have a couple of weeks to go yet for the championship meeting.
Well, he was on fire yesterday. Right. It was almost like he couldn't do anything wrong.
He only had one loss.
He had one loss, and interesting enough, that one loss was the other thing that made yesterday's Wednesday card so exciting, and that was the return of Honor Code. Honor Code, who won the Remsen in 2013, was second in the Grade 1 Champagne from the Sugar McGahee barn. A lot of hype behind this horse returning, and however, it didn't turn out to be his day. He ran a credible race, I thought, Ron, but he had to settle for the runner-up spot behind a horse named Social Inclusion. But this was a big performance.
Social Inclusion just cruising along on the lead here, really not asked so much. And the most amazing thing, on a cone about 8 lengths back, and when they crossed the wire, Social Inclusion broke the mile and the 16 track record. He did it in 1:40.97. You can see just how easy he's doing it there. I mean, the track has been playing for speed. The last time the mile and the 16th record was broken was less than a month ago. So the track has been playing to speed, but this was an incredible performance, and I think Honor Code will move forward off that.
I think, just in fairness to Honor Code, as Ron was mentioning, the track was fast, and it probably didn't play into his strong suit. And Social Inclusion, a bona fide front runner. He even broke his maiden impressively on the front end, so we know he's got a lot of speed. That was well within his game, and I think Honor Code will probably move forward off of that performance. However, huge performance here. A very exciting horse for Manny Esparua.
Oh, let's hope we see him in the Florida Derby. I mean, there's no been decisions made, but this is his home track. He's been running 2 for 2 on here. You would think he would go right into the Florida Derby, hoping we can see him in the race, but we'll find that out over the next week or so.
We sure will. And we'll get into today's card. We do have a 10-race card on tap, highlighted by the Rainbow Six, which were just a tick under $3 million in the carryover for that race. It does start in race 5. But Ron, we'll start off with the first on the card, and it is an 8,000 claiming event, 6 furlongs on the main track. And it looks like we went in the same direction with a Jorge Navarro horse named Smart Humor, number 2.
Yeah, Smart Humor certainly looks like the one to beat, and as you'll see up there on the board, a couple of scratches in the race too, so we only got a 5-horse field. And Smart Humor stepping up to the $8,000 level, really totally dominated those $6,250 claimers. Jorge Navarro having an excellent meet. Looks like strictly the one to beat.
Yeah, and you mentioned the scratches, number 6 and number 7, Rodon. Those two are out of race 1. On to the second race on the card, and is an 8,000 claiming event. And it is 6 furlongs on the main track. And my top selection, I went with number 3, Pompous Miss. I think this is a pretty competitive race, Ron, and I was betwixt and between a couple of horses. I did settle with Pompous Miss, who's going to be showing speed in here. She comes into this off of a 5th place effort. She tired and was beaten 11 lengths that day. However, I think a little bit of a class drop, and also maybe if it's back in her game and if she doesn't have anybody else going with her, maybe you can set up for her.
Yeah, I flip-flopped the number. You can see our selections. I went with number 2, New England, who finds the perfect spot to step up the level. I think this is a good spot for her. But if you look at its last race, actually Pompous Miss finished in front of her. But the Peter Waldebon, and I just thought I'd give this horse another chance today. But I'm certainly going to have an exacta box in that race. And we both threw the 5 Starship Serena into our second or third spot. So it looks like the logical 3 horses in the second race.
Yeah, and the number 5 Starship Serena, a big drop coming in from 25,000 allowance optional claiming company, and that back in December, and running in for an $8,000 tag this time. On to the third race on today's card. We do have a few scratches. Number 4, He Has Charm. Number 8, Tail of My Cat. And number 9, Baba Brett. And it is a 12-5 claiming event, 7 furlongs on the main track. And my top selection, I went with number 5, Optionality, coming into this off of a 3/4 length victory, and that was on February 14th. Paco Lopez, who was aboard for that win, gets back aboard today.
And it's Jorge Navarro again, and we just mentioned him in the previous race. I went with the 6, Flash Alert. This one claimed for $16,000 when finishing third, going a mile last out. Now drops to this $12,500 level. So I don't know if the red flag should be raising or they're just trying to win a race. It's Joey Orsino as the trainer. Looks like a logical choice unless that drop in competition has you a little reluctant to commit. So 6, Flash Alert. Also got the 5, Optionality on my ticket for all the reasons you mentioned.
Yeah, I know. See, you also mentioned, or you added number 2, Unbridled Saint. I was a little bit torn between Optionality and Unbridled Saint from the Alan Iwinski barn, and it was DQ'd and placed 8th a couple of starts back. I thought ran a pretty good race, but I think his numbers have been pretty steady lately.
And he's speed. He's got speed, and that's an important thing to have on this track, as we showed you in the opening segment with the social inclusion just whistling on the front end.
Yeah. On to the 4th race on the card, and it is a starter optional claiming test. It is with a claiming price of $25,000, a mile on the main track. And there's one scratch, number 5, Good Time Had by All. And my top pick, number 1, Viramundo. And has been putting together a string of thirds. It comes into this off of a string of thirds, and including the latest, but that was in the 9 furlong Dawn. That's a grade 1 race, finished behind Lee and Will Take Charge, both of them top caliber. In fact, Will Take Charge, 3-year-old champion of 2013. But if you look at a couple of starts back, Ron, he was 3rd behind Revolutionary and Falling Sky, who was a graded stakes winner here, and also even prior to that, he finished behind a nice horse named Golden Lad. So he's been running into some very serious horses.
Yeah, and he drops back into the optional claiming ranks today. Looks like strictly the one to beat in there. Also used number 6, Toppy's Gold, who's trying to make it 3 local victories in a row. So he always like a horse that loves the local surroundings. And Bernie the Maestro from, you just always got to throw Bernie the Maestro somewhere on your ticket if you're playing with the try.
I think of Bernie the Maestro, I'm going to forgive him those 2 starts. If you look at his last 5 races, if those 2 starts that he didn't really fare as well were at 9 furlongs and they were in stakes company, but he's definitely a horse that he likes the distance. So last time he came back, and we do have and he won, and he was a neck winner over Good Time Had by All, who was scratched today. But Ron, that was back at his preferred distance. It was 7 furlongs. I think 7 furlongs to a mile. That's his distance.
Yeah, and I always like the fact that you see a horse. He's had 10 previous races here with 4 victories, so likes the local surroundings. So Bernie the Maestro, as I mentioned, got to have him somewhere on your ticket.
Yeah, you sure do. On to the 5th race on the card. It is a 40,000 maiden claiming race. It is a mile on the turf course, and this race kicks off the Rainbow 6. We just have just under $3 million is the carryover, and my top selection, I went with number 7, and I see a main man Mike, and I see that we both went with the same horse.
Yeah, yes, it's a son of Macho Uno, and he's really training forwardly for his return to action. Looks like the logical choice. And I want to mention one thing in here. There's a jockey change in the number 6. Abdel Hayin will be riding the number 6 in here, and Luis Saez off all his mounts today. So as we get through the card, just know that Luis Saez will not be riding today.
He won't, and but we went on the same horse And coming into this, a bit of, I would say, running at a similar level. If you look at that race 2 starts back, came back off of a year layoff, and I thought ran a pretty good race, pretty decent figure. Now that was a 28,000 maiden claiming company, but came back last time at this level, ran pretty well.
Yeah, and you can't single this horse in this race. And as Christina mentioned, this is the start of the Rainbow Six. I also used, and you did too, and that's the One War Classic. Renews that rivalry with main man Mike after finishing a willing third behind him when they competed back on January 16th. Ralph Nix, he's pretty good with this 31 to 60 day freshening, about 20%. He's got Corey Lannery atop this son of Majestic Warrior, so we got to use that 1 on the ticket. And we used the 6 too, so we got 3 horses we're going to start our Rainbow Six ticket with.
Yeah, we sure will. On to the 6th race on today's card. We do have a couple of scratches, the 9 and the 10. There's a jockey change. Number 5, Edgar Zayas. As Ron had mentioned, Luis Zayas off all his mounts today. And this race kicks off the pick 5. It is a 16,000 claiming event, mile and a 16th on the turf course. And I went with number 3, Elusive Design. And coming into this off of a 7th place effort, but we're finding a little bit easier company this time. Paco Lopez gets aboard, but I see you went with number 4, Jesse Ken Mambo, and Javier Castellanos aboard. Probably not a bad way to go.
Yeah, and you move it to the Mike Ameka Von V. The claim returns to Gulfstream. At Gulfstream, this horse on the turf, no wins, but 4 starts, 1 second and 2/3. Thus 3 for 4 in the money. Rallied to finish second. That was against $12,500 claimers. That was going 6.5 furlongs on the dirt. But we mentioned Mike Maker, Javier Castellano. If you're not aware of it and you're just joining us here at Gulfstream Park, those are 2 guys you got to mark down every day when they run, whether they're teamed up or not. So Jesse Camambo with your horse, Elusive Design in second, and the old number 2, Snit Fit in third. A nice horse that always runs well. She's a nice filly from the Tino Attard barn.
Yeah, and I used number 6, and that's Benda Silver in the 3rd spot, coming into this off of a drop. And on to the 7th race on the card, and that kicks off the late pick 4. It is a starter optional claiming. Excuse me, I'm getting all froggy. A starter optional claiming with a claiming price of $20,000. 5 furlongs on the turf. And my top selection, but it seems like both of us went to the outside there, Ron. There is 1 scratch. Number 11 has scratched, but I went with number 9, Valverdina, and I think that last race was a little bit of a puzzler to me. I'm curious to find out what happened, and hopefully we'll be able to catch up with the trainer later on and maybe just ask you in terms of what happened. But if you look at her prior races, very, very good numbers and I think in very competitive races too. But you went with number 10, Sunrise Kitty from the Jason Service barn.
Yeah, Jason Service. This one's going to cut back to 5 furlongs today, returning to the optional claiming ranks. First starts returning from a layoff. She chased the pace, she faded, but that was in the $75,000 Voodoo Dancer back on New Year's Day. Trainer Jason Service really good with this type of layoff, over 25%. And guess who's running? Javier Castellano. So am I jumping on the Javier Castellano bandwagon again today? Yes, I am. And I also use Be My Love. But I'm going to go back and look at your horse, too. I didn't use that one on the ticket, but certainly has the ability to run well in this spot. And as we mentioned, this is in the Rainbow Six sequence.
Yeah, I think her numbers just stack up with any of the other fillies in here. She's proven she can handle the distance, and I think that she can run well here has proven that she can run well here at Gulfstream. On to the 8th race on today's card. It is another starter optional claiming, but with a $35,000 claiming price, a mile and 16th on the turf course. We do have a couple of scratches, number 11, number 12, jockey change number 9, Edgar Prado. Sorry, I'm losing my voice today. And I went with number 10, and that's Cambiata. And she's coming into this off of a 3rd place effort, a $35,000 claiming event. But and if you look at the races, 2 starts back, she ran in 75,000 allowance optional claiming. That was a pretty tough race, so she didn't really show much. But if you take that race out, she's run pretty well lately.
Well, I love the fact that we have totally different selections in here. Not only do I not have the 10 on my ticket, the number 1 is my best bet today.
Wow,
Fortune Pearl, who won her $32,000 career debut on the Tampa turf, and then followed that with a 2nd place finish against $30,000 starter allowance runners. Then was sent south after she ran pretty good in a race on the main track at Tampa Bay. Graham Motion, Julian Lepre Peru, atop the daughter of Mineshaft. I just thought those performances at Tampa Bay, the connection shipping down here, that I would use the number 1 Fortune Pearl on my ticket. And I love the fact that you didn't use it, because that means we can have some fun a little later on.
That's right, we sure can. But the horses on the outside that I used, I also used number 9, Marisa Wild Air, and I also used number 8, Emma Bell. And we can take a look at that latest start that Emma Bell won. That was on February 20th. She beat a horse named Sawyer and Cambiata, my top choice. They both came out of this race, Ron. But I thought a very good performance for Emma Bell, and she broke through with a victory. But she's she's adding 4 pounds here today. Cambiata and Sawyer are back at square at 118.
Right, and you know, this was a really nice performance by this horse, and showed a definite fondness for this turf course. So number 8, Emma Bell, also on my ticket for all the reasons you mentioned. You can see there why we both used her.
Yeah, a couple of I think that's a pretty competitive one, and I think you're going to have to spread a little bit in that race. On to the 9th race on today's card. It is a 25,000 allowance optional claiming test. It is a mile on the main track. And my top choice, I went with number 3, Awesome Vow, going to be showing speed, or likely going to be showing speed for Jorge Navarro. And I think that's Ron, that's a pretty big advantage in this race, because I'm not really sure who else is going to show speed in here.
Yeah, I wrote my analysis. This is the controlling speed in the race, and if the track once again has been playing, favoring speed, this is a horse that you got to have somewhere on your ticket. I went with the 1 Malibu Mudslide, who's now in the Marty Wilson barn in second, and I closed it out with the 2 Sunset Time. So both of us with the number 3 because of that speed reason.
I actually used number 5, Oasis, at midnight in the second place spot, go a couple of starts back. She didn't have the greatest of breaks, and she finished 6th that day, but that was in the slop. And on a fast track, her last couple of starts have been pretty good. She's hit the board in both of her prior starts this season. So a horse I used, and I thought, also number 8, Successful Luck from the Patrick Byrne barn, broke through with a victory in her debut, and she is stepping up, facing winners for the first time. But I think she's another horse that should fit in here.
Well, it just goes to show you, with all our different selections in these last couple of races, how tough the Rainbow Six, I think, is to hit today, because all of these horses are logical, and you might have some logical ones. So you're going to have to go deep in a couple of these races, and that's the beauty of the 20-cent wager.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of those races you will have to spread a bit. On to the 10th and final race on the card, and it is a mile on the turf course. It is a maiden claiming, a 20,000 maiden claiming race, and there's a 1 scratch, number 3, 10 and 4. Not 3, 10 and 4, like Ron was trying to trick me this morning. The horse's name is 10 and 4. And we also have a jockey change. I believe it's at number 9. Paco Lopez is going to be aboard, if it's confirmed. And as always, Larry Colmus will be on in just a few minutes to give us the updated changes and scratches for today. However, my top selection, actually, the horse that scratched was my top selection.
Mine too,
yeah. So I went with number 8, and that's Scarabajo. And coming into this off of a 4th place effort, beaten just over 3 lengths, but getting a bit of a break in drop in class here. So I think that should help this quote.
Yeah, I scratched into number 9. My Little Jet is getting some class relief, failing to show much against considerably tougher competition. Jose Tarabu, as you mentioned, will have Paco Lopez handling that number 9 horse today. My Little Jet, the 7 Headwing, and I added the number 1 Dark and Dusty. A big drop. Jason Service does an excellent job. So looks like he's going to get some class relief. And the race, I really believe, changed a lot with that scratch of the number 6.
I sure do, and we do have quite a bit going on here, and coming up this weekend, we also have the Honey Fox this weekend, their graded stakes, and that's on Saturday. And also those not only depending on if we have the Rainbow Six going into the weekend, we never know. However, there are also those guaranteed pools as well.
Yeah, we have the late pick 5 for $100,000. That's the last 5 races on the card. We do have an 11-race card on Saturday, and the late pick 4, which is the last 4 races of the day, $200,000 guaranteed. You mentioned Honey Fox. Looks like it's going to be a really nice race between Paranda and Tapacat. When Tapacat went out to California, now coming back. And Paranda just loves this track, 2 in a row, including the Sunshine Millionaire Turf. So just a great race.
You know, that's this weekend. However, looking for a little further afield, we also look down to the Florida Derby. And Ron, it's really shaping up as a very exciting race. We've had a lot of you know, things have come up in the last week. Top billing from the Shug McGahee barn. He looked like he might be one of the standouts in that race. He was injured, went back to Kentucky. He had surgery earlier this week. He seems to be in fine form, however, or he seems to be recovering well. He's supposed to come back at some point to get back into training, but he's not going to be running. However, Todd Pletcher did confirm that a horse that won on the Fountain of Youth undercard, and that is Constitution, is going to make his stakes.
Very impressively, I'll have you say.
And he's won both of his races very impressively. Didn't get a great break in his career debut. Came back, won last time for Windstar and Twin Creeks Racing. He looks like he's going to be a very exciting horse to look forward to in the in the Florida Derby. But always, we know Todd Pletcher's always well armed. He's coming in with another possibility, a horse named Anchor Down. He's also 2 for 2, and he's another tap it. Taps, you know, he has plenty of tappets this year, and both really nice horses to look forward to.
Yeah, we mentioned we don't know where Social Inclusion's going to get, and you got Wildcat Red, just a lot of speed. It's going to be a really race. It's really a fantastic race, and I can't wait till it all comes together, because then you can start figuring out who's going to be on the lead, who's going to be coming up.
And Cairo Prince.
Cairo Prince, exactly. So it is going to be a fantastic race, and just a couple of weeks away. I mean, you know, 2 weeks from Saturday, I believe.
And that card is completely loaded, and on the undercard, we also have the Gulfstream Park Oaks. And again, Todd Pletcher, he's got another filly that's slated for that, Only for You. However, there's several horses that could be going in that direction. And in fact, not only from the Todd Pletcher barn, but it just seems like it's a tough, it'll be a tough race.
Yeah, and I believe we have 8 or 9 stakes on that day or so.
We do.
So it'll be just an incredible day, and just a couple of weeks away. And I want to mention to everyone there will be an early post, 12 p.m. on Florida Derby Day, March 29th. But leading up to that, we got a couple of nice races coming up, and a couple of weeks of great racing. If the weather stays like this, boy, no greater place to be than Gulfstream Park.
Well, it does look like the weather is going to be staying like this, at least for now, and it looks like through this weekend. But we do have a lot of action here at Gulfstream. And Ron, you will be back in just a little bit.
Yeah.
You see
if you'll have me.
See how lucky I am? I have to put up with this guy all day long. He's the best. Well, that's it for Mr. Ron Nicoletti and myself. We will be back later on this afternoon. And folks, hope you join us. There is that Rainbow Six, that carryover. We're just at about $3 million. Good luck.